Carbs make you fat. How many people have heard that before? I'm going to try and dissect that a little bit here because I think that these general statements that we see, I'll say all too common nowadays, are far more detailed. And yeah, I just want to go into the weeds just a little bit to break that statement down because it's been so prevalent just in our vocabulary in our society. So the first thing that I'll say is whenever we divide certain macronutrients and foods into certain macronutrients, we're doing us a massive disservice because we're painting a picture that really doesn't exist. If you look at whole foods, you look at most foods on the planet, they have all three macronutrients. They have protein, they have carbohydrate, and they have fat as well. There's really only highly processed foods that just have, for example, oil, 100% fat. Any sort of processed sugar is basically 100% carbohydrate. You're having a protein powder where it's basically a protein isolate, 100% protein. And then you, of course, have certain foods like meats, for example, are mostly just fat and protein. Whereas if you're looking at the majority of plant foods, but not all plant foods, it's going to have a lot of carbohydrates, but it's also going to have protein and fat as well. So when we live in this reductionist mindset of just labeling, making a blanket statement and just saying carbs make you fat, I know where it's coming from, but it's way too simplified and there's a lot more that goes into it. So along those same lines, I feel like when we talk about carbohydrates, people are basically saying, okay, carbs are bread, pasta, maybe potatoes are thrown in there. That's kind of what people deem is carbohydrates, which once again, all those foods have the other macronutrients as well. But in reality, and we kind of look at this and there is research that shows that it really doesn't matter which macronutrient you overeat. If you're eating too many carbs in the forms of whatever, if you're eating too much fat in whatever forms, if you're eating too much protein in whatever forms, it's really the overconsumption of food, of calories, compared to your daily energy expenditure. That's ultimately what leads to people putting on fat and adipose tissue. So I think that's something that we need to remember. And I think along those same lines, I would, this is why I am a proponent of eating a lot of plant foods, because these foods are higher in carbohydrate. If you look at something like legumes, these foods are probably about 60% carbohydrate. The rest of that is protein and fat, which is a really great balance. But the main thing that you're getting when you're eating plant foods is fiber. So when I'm eating a cup of chickpeas, yeah, I'm getting the 200 or so calories that are accompanied with those chickpeas, but I'm also getting a ton of fiber. I'm getting like 15 grams of fiber with that meal. And those aren't calories for me, but I have, and you do too, you have a microbiome, a gut microbiome, where you have microbes that will feast on that fiber and actually produce energy along with many other benefits. The term is short chain fatty acids for what these gut microbes produce, and these short chain fatty acids have a host of benefits. The more that we learn about it, the more that we're seeing just how diverse and incredible they are. These short chain fatty acids have the ability to go from our gut and into our bloodstream. They have the ability to go and pass the blood-brain barrier and get into our brain. There's so much connection between the gut and the brain, and short chain fatty acids are a main part of that. They also help restore the lining of our gut. If you're somebody that has leaky gut and are trying to repair that, or if you have any gut issues, these microbes will literally take that fiber and turn it into energy that will help heal your gut. So there's so many benefits to including more fiber. And a lot of times when people hear of, carbs make them fat, then they stay away from potentially foods like potatoes, which are one of the most satiating foods that you could possibly find. They have tons of nutrients, lots of great fiber, resistance starch as well, which is also amazing for you. And a lot of people are missing out on these benefits and are confused when people say carbs make you fat. So I just wanted to break that down and just know that really at the end of the day, most foods have all three macronutrients. Use a food tracking application. My favorite one is Chronometer, which is CRONO meter.com. You could create an account for free and start putting in some foods, just logging some foods, and you could see the macronutrient breakdown, and you could really see how almost all foods have all the macronutrients. So when we say, meat is protein, fruit is sugar, bread is carbohydrate, we're doing us a big disservice, and we're really, you know, these blanket statements are causing a lot of harm. And, at the end of the day, choosing whole foods is one of the best things that you can do for you. So instead of worrying about if carbohydrates make you fat, if this makes you fat, I would just concentrate on eating more whole foods, eating more plant foods, and you're going to be in a much better place. So if you have any other questions in regards to this question, do carbs make you fat, please leave it below. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about, and I will see you in the next video.